Thank you, Mayor, and thank all of you for being here. It's a tight room. We appreciate all the sponsors when we called and said, can we put 2 more at your table? And you said yes to make it work, and we just could not be more appreciative. Well, this year's report is all about the future. As many of you know, an unusual campaign has been underway to bring FAO's capacity to scale with our vision. Tonight, I have the distinct privilege to announce our success in this campaign and to share the good news of what this means for the region we love, how it is now possible to establish a bold goal, that of raising $100 million in new funds for our region, funds to advance sustainable transformations, and how the unusual campaign we have just completed now creates an opportunity for all of us to make even more transformational gifts. Because we are all here to invest our dollars in ways that bring about sustainable transformations. We are proud of Appalachian Ohio, but our pride is not blind. Generational poverty continues. Many children in our region, as well as the adults who have stayed, struggle to access educational and career opportunities, often the very basics like health care and nutrition. And we all know there is something about generational poverty that can infiltrate our culture, diminishing expectations and creating barriers in the form of low self-esteem. At its heart, our Child of Appalachia gathering, initiative, awards, tackles this tough problem because we know a positive mindset about our region is essential to everything else. An additional barrier holds back every effort to sustainable transformation, and that's the philanthropy gap. If we look at our philanthropic assets, we find our region's citizens access less than $1,000 in per capita philanthropic support. While this data may seem discouraging, I see so many here who, like me, have actually found it to be just the opposite. In a region where the challenges are complex, interwoven, multi-generational, overwhelming, we have identified a specific challenge we can solve. And by solving this challenge, we'll empower many other solutions, not only today, but for generations to come. I mentioned a campaign has been underway to bring FAO's capacity to scale with the region's potential to develop philanthropy. In celebration of our first 15 years, we took a strategic pause to envision what could be achieved in the next 15. As we studied the opportunities, we realized it is now possible to build philanthropic support for our region at a pace and scale entirely new. And not just any kind of support, but the kind of support that leads to sustainable transformations. So we set a bold 2-part goal. First, to build $30 million for region-wide grant-making endowments, funds we're calling the Pillars of Prosperity. These new pillar endowments will provide permanent support to advance sustainable transformations in 5 areas of need important to all communities in our region: education, health and human services, arts and culture, community and economic development, environmental stewardship. Across our region, we have courageous leaders working every day in these pillar areas to generate transformational changes, including the 5 leaders you hopefully met tonight during our reception, who were very gracious to don the orange pillar sashes and greet you with stories of how philanthropy is strengthening their work. They, like us, know the problems of generational poverty are interwoven. It is hard to create an educational opportunity for children who come to school too hungry to learn. Without a job, it is hard for their parents to provide healthy food. And we all know how the arts and environmental stewardship links to the vibrancy of our communities and everything else. So what are we saying? To create sustainable transformations, we must advance innovations, remove barriers, and create opportunities across all 5 pillar areas. While our work with the pillars will span region-wide, we understand the vital importance of addressing unique local needs. For this reason, the second part of our goal is to build $70 million for local initiatives. This includes new endowments and growth of existing ones. And as you probably guessed, it includes ensuring we meet our goal that every county in Appalachia, Ohio is served by a local community foundation. Together, these goals combine to a total of $100 million in new philanthropy for Appalachia, Ohio. It's a big goal, but let's think about what it will do. Let's think about the impact. With this level of funding, we will be able to invest $5 million in our region each year. That is 10 times what we can give now. In 20 years' times, the impact of giving $5 million a year is $100 million to activities that advance sustainable transformations. Repeating this cycle over several generations will produce the support our region needs to replace generations of poverty with generations of opportunity. Have you heard that expression, you can't unring the bell? Once we had envisioned what $100 million in new endowment could achieve, the way it would lead to sustainable transformation, we had no choice but to make it happen. We faced one slight challenge in getting our vision out of the starting gate. Due to our relatively small asset size, we still raised 80% of our annual operating funds. This distracted precious time from raising transformative gifts. However, we knew with working capital, we could generate gifts for the region at a pace and scale previously unimaginable. And as we succeeded, we would also build the base of assets needed to support our own operations. What we didn't have in cash, we made up for in board leadership. Our board recognized our startup challenge was no different than that experienced by many private sector enterprises trying to expand. So we borrowed from the practice of business and we launched an IPO. Our initial philanthropic offering sought 100 shares of the working capital needed. Our planning started at the January board meeting. By the end of the April meeting, 100% of our board members were shareholders, and with that support, we came to many of you. And I could not be more excited or more grateful to share this afternoon at 4:30 p.m., we rang the bell, going public with not 100 shares, which had been our goal, but with 106 shares. Altogether, our IPO has raised an investment of $3.4 million to offset the operational costs needed to build $100 million in philanthropy for our region. The ringing of this bell was truly a historic moment also for Appalachia, Ohio, and for philanthropy. We're not aware of anywhere else that this has been done. It's important to celebrate how the gift of FAO's IPO now extends to all of us. And this is why each table this evening is celebrated with a pillar centerpiece. You might have noticed arts and education and environmental stewardship. This is to help us imagine what our region will be like when it is abundant in opportunities in each pillar area. So why did they do it? Why did they join FAO's IPO? Well, we think this is best said in their own words. So as you probably guessed, what we're doing tonight is not the typical way a $100 million vision would be launched. Most times you would not hear about it until 75% was in the bank. So what gives us the confidence to be so unconventional? Are we staking our future on new wealth from energy? our region's entrepreneurial success? Is it the unprecedented transfer of wealth taking place among generations, the opportunity for planned gifts? All that data is very promising, but it's not what emboldened us. The driving factor in our decision was all of you. This is a vision you have been writing for the Foundation for Appalachian Ohio from the beginning. Together, we started FAO with the humblest of beginnings. Our startup looked more like an Amish barn raising than the launch of a community foundation. Really, everyone brought the tools, the ideas, the resources they had. They joined in the work. Together, we have built $20 million across 146 different funds. Together, we have given over 3,000 grants and scholarships, totaling more than $6.4 million. To share just one story, this year FAO's Harrison County Community Foundation gave their first grant, buying a book for every child in Harrison County, aged kindergarten through 3rd grade. For many kids, this was the very first time a children's book had come into their home. Can you imagine the very first time? But it was their book. They owned it. That grant instilled so much joy and love for learning. It's a positive influence that will continue for an entire generation in Harrison County. In addition to members of the founding board of the Harrison County Community Foundation, we have with us this evening leaders from 9 efforts to build local foundations with FAO, including from Guernsey, Perry, Jackson, Gallia, and Monroe counties. These leaders are developing truly innovative approaches to closing local philanthropy gaps. They see how philanthropy will generate sustainable transformations in their communities, and they are volunteering to make it happen. We wanted to share just one example to give you the sense of the power for what they're doing. Our first pilot of a local partnership was developed with leaders from Guernsey County. This year, they celebrated 3 major milestones. The addition of the 32nd fund to Guernsey County and their family, meeting their goal of ensuring every school district in the county had its own fund, and through a recent pledge, we'll soon be celebrating having built $5 million in assets. With the support from Leadership 100, FAO and these local communities will be able to significantly expand our partnerships, bringing us so much closer to that day where every county in the region is supported by a strong local foundation. It would not be happening without the vision, persistence, and passion of our local leaders. We can't thank them enough. From the beginning, the Foundation for Appalachian Ohio has let the needs of our region and not the conventions of traditional fundraising drive our decisions and activities. By underwriting FAO's operational costs, Leadership 100 shareholders have removed the need for us to ask you to give to that. They have made it possible for 100% of your investments to FAO to go directly to the transformational activities of building the pillars of prosperity for our region. Just as it took everyone to build a foundation for Appalachian Ohio, it will take everyone to build the pillars of prosperity. Our region needs your transformative gifts. You are our region's answer to creating sustainable transformation, and by working together, we can bring about the day we've longed for, when generational poverty is replaced with generations of opportunity. It will not happen without you, but because of you, it can happen. And as a foundation for Appalachian Ohio, we could not be more grateful for the difference you are making in the region that's closest to our hearts. Thank you.